Hi my foodie friends. Today I'm going to be making some risotto. I'm going to be doing a shrimp risotto, but this recipe can be used for any kind, whether you want a vegan, vegetarian, meat. You can add mushrooms, you can add broccoli, you can add basically anything you want, as well as proteins. So depending how you want to do it, I'm going to show you the basic ingredients. So you're going to get your mise en place. So you're going to get all your ingredients together, and this way we are ready to cook. So to start off, of course, we are going to use our arborio rice. It's a very short grain Italian rice. I have a little bit of white wine in this cup. I have garlic and shallots, finely chopped. I have our finishers, so there is Parmesan. I'm going to throw in a little bit of parsley and lemon zest. And I have stock heating up. I'm going to be using chicken stock, but if you're making it vegan or vegetarian, of course you can use vegan or vegetarian stock. And to start off, we're going to get a nice big saute pan. We're going to get some, I have some butter in here, so again, if you're going vegan or vegetarian, don't use butter. I have butter and olive oil, which I'm going to heat up and start to melt off, and then we're going to start incorporating the ingredients. It goes slowly cooking the actual risotto, but getting it all together is a fairly quick process. So that's why having your mise en place, your ingredients and everything ready is super important. So I've got my pan on. I do have it on fairly high right now, only because I want the butter to start to melt. And I'm really smelling the onions and the, sorry, not onions, I have shallots. So I am smelling the shallots and the garlic. And I don't want to start tearing up with the shallots and garlic in front of me, so I'm trying to get this going. And we're just about melted off and ready. And I've got a decent amount of butter and a glug of olive oil just to sort of stop things from burning. And it adds flavor, of course. Okay, so we're about ready. We're going to throw in the onions and the shallots. Geez, I keep saying onions, excuse me. You could use onions. I'm just using shallots as a slightly milder flavor. So for the full recipe, just like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You'll see the link obviously, because that's how you're going to find me. And send me a message and I'll be happy to send you the full exact recipe. I'm making this for 3 people. A client of mine ordered shrimp risotto. So I had a previous mushroom risotto recipe up online with full video and actual recipe ingredients, but unfortunately it seems to have disappeared. So I'm doing another one. It's a really good dish. And actually, when you have leftover risotto, which very often you won't because it's so delicious, you're going to end up eating it all. But if you do have leftover risotto, you can actually make arancini, which are like rice balls. And you take your leftover risotto and you sort of form a ball with them. And then you can put some cheese in the center. You can put a meatball in the center. You can really put whatever you want, but cheese is very, very traditional. And then you roll it in breadcrumbs and you fry it. And it is a treat. Okay, so I've got my stock is heating up. The shallots and garlic are getting nice and translucent. You don't really want to cook them too much because you definitely don't want to burn your garlic. You burn your garlic, the flavor changes totally and it gets bitter and it's not nice. So right now, I don't know if you can really see, but they're just translucent. So now I'm going to add the arborio rice. And we're going to toast that off a little bit. And this is the part that kind of moves quickly, is the sauteing of the shallots or onions and garlic. and the toasting of the rice, because you don't really need to, you're not looking to like get it too brown or anything. You just sort of want to get it incorporated with the flavors of the onions and garlic and get that sort of slightly nutty taste that comes out when you toast rice. Actually, when you toast a lot of things, you sort of get like a slight kind of a nutty flavor. There we go. So now the rice, the shallots, the garlic, the butter, and the olive oil are all in the pan. Everything's nicely coated. And now we're going to deglaze with some white wine. That's a great sound. So we're gonna, the whole point of risotto is developing the starch in the rice. So you're going to stir it very frequently and slowly, slowly just keep adding ladlefuls of your stock. And you have to have your stock hot, because if not, you're gonna cool down the cooking of the rice. And that's really gonna take up a lot of time. So as you see, almost all our stuff is moving along pretty quickly. So I've got my stock here. Put it on this element, and this one off, and this one on a low, keep it simmering, and ladle by ladle full, you're gonna add stock. And you're gonna add and mix until almost all the liquid is evaporated. And then you're gonna keep adding ladle by ladle and mixing to develop the starch in the rice and get the risotto that way beautiful, beautiful creamy texture that we're looking for in a risotto. So the final product, you wanna have a bit of a bite. So like al dente, you want a tooth feel. You don't want it to be mushy. Like mushy rice is never appealing, but you want the creaminess that the starches and the stock make. So it's got the little bite and the creaminess. And now the liquid that I put in is pretty much evaporated and all blended in, so another ladleful will go in. And this will continue going for a while. It takes time. You really can't rush risotto, and you don't want to, because you do want the rice to actually cook and not just all the water evaporate, and then you have like none of that creaminess and your rice isn't cooked properly. It'll be too hard. So you want a bite, just like with pasta. You don't want mushy pasta. You want your pasta to have a little bit of give to it at least. So we want the same thing from our risotto. It's so satisfying to watch it start coming together. It really is, I have to say. We're getting there. In total, I'd say this will take about 25 minutes or so, maybe half hour. You might get it if you're not doing too much rice. It might cook a little bit faster, but I mean, you know, rice is rice. And you gotta give this the love that it deserves. And when you give your food love, people taste it. And let's add some more stock. Now this stock that I'm using is a low sodium stock, and that's only because I like to adjust the salt level myself. Between the Parmesan cheese that goes in and, you know, your butter and your olive oil and all those things add flavor. I don't want it to be too salty. You definitely want to season your food, and you want to season it properly. But this is not something that you need to season so aggressively, because the stock still does have some sodium in it. And everybody has different salt restrictions and salt needs. I mean, these clients of mine, they're a wonderful family. They order from me all the time. They don't have any food restrictions, so it's really fun cooking. It's always fun cooking. It's a challenge sometimes when people have certain food restrictions, but this is actually a gluten-free meal. So this could be gluten-free, vegan, or you can add meat to it. You can add some beautiful portobellos or oyster mushrooms or some shiitakes if you want to make it, some morels. You can do a whole sort of wild mushroom mix and put it on top. You can do a bunch of greens with broccoli and asparagus, a whole bunch of herbs. There are so many things that you can do to customize the risotto to your personal liking. But this is truly a traditional basic risotto. I do have shrimp that I will be adding to the end, and the lemon zest is not necessarily traditional, but it's delicious. And lemon zest adds such a beautiful like punch and zing of flavor, of lemony flavor, without that like tart feeling that you get from lemons. So it's really, really lovely adding lemon zest. You can do it with so many things. Anything that you would add lemon to, don't just throw out the rind. Use the rind and grate it and use the zest, and it's lovely. You can even add it to salt and to sugar. You can put lemon rind and let your salt and your sugar infuse with the flavor. It's fantastic. So here we go, another ladle full of broth. And the rice is starting to expand and cook. So you know when you make rice and you put like a little bit in a pot and you add your water, and then when you open your pot when it's finished cooking, it's like 3 times the amount. So the same thing will happen here, just sort of in a different process. So it's not just steaming through, and usually rice, I'll wash my regular rice, my basmati, my white rice, any kind of rice, I actually rinse it thoroughly prior to washing it to wash off all the starch so that you can have nice individual grains of rice. Whereas with risotto, you want the starch. The starch is what makes risotto risotto, what makes that creamy, lovely texture. And it's really starting to get nice and creamy. Let's see if I can give you a quick peek. See? Back to the stove. Don't want it to start losing heat. Give you a quick peek here. See how it's starting to get creamy? Ooh, so sorry. All right. Turn it down. It seems to be cooking quite quickly. And another spoonful of broth. You can tell I'm doing this video at home alone due to the strange malfunctions and fingers over the camera and all that wonderful stuff. So please excuse all of that. And unfortunately, my camera stand, my phone halo stand, broke just prior to doing this video. So I am sort of maneuvering and MacGyvering, trying to keep the phone steady on a sort of makeshift stand, I guess you would say. So I do apologize for getting my finger and stuff in the way of the camera. But I did want you to get a quick peek of what the risotto looks like while cooking and how the dry risotto with the addition of all the liquid and the love is turning into a lovely, lovely thing. And we simmer away and let it cook. I turned it down a little bit because I found that it was really evaporating quite quickly, and I wanted the rice and the starches to come out a little more, so I had to adjust the heat. So whenever you're doing these things, just pay attention to your heat source, because you don't want things burning or you don't want things cooking too low. So every stove is different, every element is different even. So now I'm actually gonna just give it a tiny, tiny little taste just to see if it's seasoned properly. The rice is still quite firm, like definitely quite firm. You can use a little bit of salt. Beautiful. I'd rather not have enough salt than have too much salt. So salt and taste, salt and taste. So don't overly salt, because all of a sudden as it's cooking, things start to come out and flavors start to come together, and all of a sudden it could be a little too salty, which you can sometimes offset with some vinegar, something acidic. So lemon juice or lime juice or different vinegars, but you don't want to have too much salt. Oh, this is looking lovely. Lovely, lovely. It's coming together beautifully. Very pleased. I only have a couple of spoonfuls of stock left, so have to see. Sometimes you have to get some more stock. I think we might be okay. The starches are developing nicely. Even though the stock is clear, when it hits the rice and starts mixing together with the rice, and you're moving the rice, so you're releasing the starches, it starts forming that creamy color, that sort of opaque as opposed to translucent. Oh, this is going to be so good. I think they're going to be so happy. Very good. Well, while this is cooking, how are you guys doing? Is there anything special that you would like to see me cook? Anything you are intimidated by or you think could be very difficult that maybe we can make easier and user-friendly? Send me a message. I'd love to hear from you and hear what you would like to see me cook, so that maybe you can learn how to cook it too. It would be a lot of fun to cook together. All right, let's get back to cooking. It's coming together. It's so nice when you have a bunch of fresh herbs. I have parsley still growing, amazingly so. I even have some basil, and I have oregano. So the parsley I'm going to be using in this dish is parsley that I'm growing myself. It's always really nice when you can have your own fresh ingredients. I started growing a garden a couple of years ago. Not the best at it, but I do manage to get tomatoes and zucchini and cucumber. I've had some gem eggplant, which was really interesting. And not really much luck with peppers, unfortunately. And I had some beans, snow peas and stuff, so those were great. And it's so nice when you have these ingredients and you literally go to your garden and you pick them and then you come inside your house and you make something delicious with them. And I have this great friend up here who forages, so she ends up giving me these fantastic wild mushrooms, oyster and honey and shiitakes, and oh my God, they're just amazing. You never know what you have out there. So many things outside that we think are weeds or that we think are just throwaway stuff is truly edible. Even when you have all your vegetables and you like peel your carrots and your potatoes and cut the stalks off your broccoli and all that stuff, that can all go in a pot and make a soup broth, a vegetable broth. It doesn't have to go to waste. A lot of my stuff goes to my neighbor's chickens. So I feed their chickens with my food scraps, and I get some wonderful eggs. All right, so you can see it's slowed down a little bit. I'm not putting the liquid in as quickly. I'm letting the starches and the rice cook a little bit more gently. So it's not really boiling, it's more like a simmer. Before it was between a boil and a simmer, and I had to sort of slow it down a little bit. I didn't find that the rice was cooking as quickly as the broth was being absorbed, and I'm not quite sure where it was going. So now we've got it going really well. And it's really like doubled or tripled in size. The amount of risotto in here is substantially more than that bowl full that I put in. So don't forget, guys, check out my other videos. I've got all kinds. I'll teach you how to make curry chicken and pad thai and ginger chicken and beef and broccoli. There's all kinds of delicious things, great Chinese takeout recipes, fried rice recipe. So check out my YouTube, check out my videos. Please like, subscribe, and let me know what else you want me to cook. Ooh, it's really getting so yummy and creamy. We are coming to the final stages. This is so exciting. I just love on this part. When you have it in the pan and you draw your spatula through it and it slowly starts coming back to the center, that's when you know your risotto is ready. Now, unfortunately, this is not going to be served immediately because my client is coming to pick it up in about 10 minutes. So I'm going to leave it a touch liquidy. I'm going to use the last of the stock. There you go. Let's clear the fields here. So I'm going to use the last of the stock, and I'm going to leave it slightly more liquidy than I normally would, just because when it goes into the containers for transport, it continues to cook, and I don't want it to seize up. So to avoid that from happening, I will slightly undercook it, but not by much. Just a taste. Oh, it's looking really lovely. Just gonna have a spoon. taste again, see what the consistency is. Oh, that's good. Definitely does not need any more salt. It's perfectly salted. The rice is still firm, but it doesn't have that same hard, like, crunch. You don't want crunchy rice, unless you're having like a Rice Krispie treat or something. But it's coming together beautifully. And as this just has its own little party here. Oh my God. It is so lovely. Cook it just a little bit more. Just a few more minutes. Just let that sit for a minute. I'm a little impatient at this point, can you tell? Let's clean up. I have some beautiful shrimp that I cooked earlier in some garlic and lemon and parsley, just to sort of mimic the flavors that are going to be in the risotto. So there's lemon zest and there's garlic and there's going to be parsley. So it'll all come together in harmony. This is not a battling duet. This is a harmonizing duet of flavors. Okay, guys. I think we're coming to the final stages here. Very exciting. I know this isn't the most interesting thing to watch, but I hope I'm keeping you entertained by chatting with you. Because risotto is just quite repetitive. You're adding liquid, you're stirring, you're adding liquid, you're stirring. It's not very entertaining. All right, so I'm now going to throw in the Parmesan and the lemon zest. Throw in a little bit of the parsley and save the rest to dress it up at the end. It'll give us a nice final stir. Oh, this looks beautiful. See the little flecks of lemon and a little green. A little green is always good. And then I'm going to throw some of the shrimp in. Actually, I'm going to add a drop of this. Go. So to give them a little heat through. And we are done. So here, my friends, is my shrimp risotto. Ooh, I'm so sorry. Goodness gracious. So there's my shrimp risotto. I I will plate it. I will plate it and show you what it looks like in 2 seconds. I'll be back.